I think there's one word that without fail leads to respect for yourself. Others people will respect you. And that is integrity.
Welcome, my friends, to the Budo Brothers Podcast. My name is David. Joining me, as always, are Eric and Kyle, founders of Budo Brothers. Gentlemen, I'm going to spell a word for you, and you have to give me the first thing you think of that is not Aretha Franklin. R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
What does it mean to me?
You will respect my authority.
Respect my authority. Let's go there. Let's talk about respect on this episode. And there are a couple of questions that I have for you. We'll go through these one at a time and kind of discuss. The first one is, can you give me a situation where somebody earned your respect? And tell me about it.
Respect is a virtue that is slowly drifting away. Not especially now when tensions are high, emotions are high, differing opinions are everywhere. And how can you respect the irrespectable? Right. I think this is a time where a lot of us are being tested in how respectful we can be. And one situation that I look at in terms of where people that have earned my respect, when somebody says they're going to do something and they actually do it, it's amazing. I respect that. Like, wow. Because that's rare these days. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of, hey, I'll call you next week. Cool. And then you don't call me next week. Yeah, nothing. Or right. So I respect people that do what they say, because having an honorable word, because often all we have is our word. And if we devalue our word by not making good on our word, what do we have? So I have mad respect for everyone out there that has kept their word.
Very nice. Kyle, give me something.
I said it in an earlier episode. I'm trying to remember which one, but one of the best instances of respect that I could think of was when we were at the Martial Arts Super Show, President of Century. We were having a conversation, and we were just talking, and there was a woman in the background, and the President of Century could see. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. President of Century is
Paul Webb.
Paul Webb. Jeez, I don't know why that left me at Paul Webb. The President of Century, Paul Webb, is sitting there, and he's speaking to everybody in the circle, and this guy steps in front of his wife because he was so excited to talk to Paul, and he stops the conversation dead in his tracks, absolutely dead. And he says, "Excuse me," and he goes and he grabs the woman and brings her into the circle as an equal contributor to the conversation, and says, "As long as I'm here, you have equal respect as everybody in this circle." And I just thought it was such a chauvinistic, just true act of just consciousness and awareness of and empathy towards people. It earned me a lot of respect for him, and also for the company.
I'm going to give you one that I encountered, and it was related to the Martial Arts Super Show, but not related to the Martial Arts Super Show, and I will explain. I went in 2013 to that show, and it was awesome. And Master Ken was like, there on stage doing his thing, and everybody's doing the thrust of freedom. Like, it was just a really great time. And during some of the downtime, one of the nights, I'm like, I'm in Vegas. This is the first time I was in Vegas. I want to catch a show. And so I'm looking around, and I'm like, hey, Penn and Teller, right? I've known of them forever. And I'm like, I want to go catch a Penn and Teller live. These are like, some of the world's greatest magicians. They're hilarious and they're really funny. So it's a packed theater. I got one of the very last seats that was just by its lonesome towards the front, and they put on an amazing show. And this is an auditorium full of people, right? So I don't know how many thousands of people, but I'm guessing well over 5,000 people or so. Right after the show, they exit stage and they go out into the lobby, and anybody that comes up to them, they will have a quick conversation with, take a picture with you, sign anything that you would want them to sign. And they stayed there until the last person left. And I'm like, these are two guys that are running this show in Vegas, and they've been doing it for years and years and years, and they've been everywhere, and they really don't need to do that. But just that simple act of knowing that they're out there just shaking the hands and talking to just potentially every single person that just watched them, to me, that was like, wow, these guys, they're professionals, and yeah, they're stars and they're world renowned, but that's a really cool gesture. And I greatly respected that, of just that real human interaction that they had for everybody that watched. I thought that was really, really cool.
Super cool.
Now, what about a situation where somebody lost your respect? Anything that comes to mind?
I have one. It definitely burns a hole in my brain.
Okay. All right.
It was New Year's Eve.
Ooh.
And this is back when I was in university. I went away for school, and I came back, and there was this chick. I should say girl. I don't know.
I'm sure that's super offensive.
Yeah,
now,
whatever is
Kyle,
not offensive.
How dare you say chick?
This creature.
This fine specimen.
I had a massive crush on.
Okay, so she was a specimen.
Yes, she was a Clydesdale. She was
Clydesdale.
Wait, is Clydesdale male? What's it? No.
Clydesdale's like really big, like a workhorse. Clydesdale's like a
huge horse.
It's a massive
I like
horse.
a pig.
All right, so you like girls that. Okay, we're comparing to massive.
Okay,
horses.
This has gotten
Go
really
on.
weird.
Bad quote. There's a chick. A girl.
A beautiful woman.
A creature.
A beautiful woman.
A
How
woman.
about that?
Yeah, so both a beautiful woman that I was into. And I had a crush on her for a very long time. And I brought my roommate from Waterloo over with me, and we were going to celebrate New Year's in Calgary. And this guy he was a lady killer at the time.
Okay.
He could get any girl he wanted. He had a script.
Slimer.
It was no joke. By 7:00, the bed upstairs would be thumping. He'd leave for a date, come back, throw on Finding Nemo before and like he was A-type.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, that was the
Finding Nemo.
that was the closer for him. That was the closer.
So he found Nemo many times.
Yes, he went exploring and found Nemo.
All right.
But anyways, he was a lady killer, and I brought him back with me to Calgary on New Year's, and I like this girl. And New Year's happens, and everybody knows at the end of New Year's, real estate. You gotta post up next to the one you want to kiss, right?
Sure.
It's countdown.
Oof.
So
Yep.
I go and I told him on the way down that I like this girl, and
So
I was
he was
into her.
aware.
He was aware. And there's the guys that pee on everything. It's like, oh no, she's mine.
Sure.
I didn't do that. This is the one girl I was like, okay, I'm into this girl. New Year's comes around, and like literally this guy like face pushes me out of the way for the real estate, and like totally kisses this girl. They make out, like, and I was just like, it was like
Dagger to the heart.
just a dagger to the heart, especially being at like early 20s, like or teenagers. Sorry, teens, like not is university. It's just like I was shot to the heart, and I lost so much respect for that guy at that moment in time, man. Oh my gosh.
There's a bro code, you know?
There's a code. It's just maybe not even a bro code. That's just a code.
Code. True enough. A good human code.
A human code. Yeah.
I'm Finding Nemo. Like I'm really just stuck on
All
that.
right. This is
Like that's the one. Like not Marvin Gaye. Like not like Let's Get It On.
No.
Like let's watch like Dory and Marlin.
This was the play. I'll give everybody out there the
Here's
script.
the winning script.
I gotta know, man. I gotta know.
What would happen, because we didn't have cars back then, he would tell them to come to his house so that they could walk and go to the bar or the wine place or whatever it is. If they were vegetarian, he had a spot. He knew he did some crowd control or some sourcing and figured out what their interest was. And we lived in a really spot. So we would go there, and then he would take them on a walk long enough so that they were tired and needed to take a rest after. And on the way back home, they would stop and be like, it's a long walk, or, we just spent so much time walking around. We just got to kick it and watch a movie. Finding Nemo, every girl at that moment in time, that was on automatic. I love Finding Nemo.
Oh my God.
So they would go up to the room, because that was the only place the TV seemed to work in the house.
It's unplugged.
Oh, sorry. The TV in the living room doesn't work. Yeah, none of the TVs work. We had to go up to my bedroom to watch this thing. And before you know it, before Nemo got to the sharks, hammer time.
Oh my God. Before Nemo got to the sharks.
Wow.
Oh, I'm never going to get over that. I'm sorry.
I just don't know if I'm going to be able to watch Finding Nemo again without thinking of this.
Never.
And this is not probably the greatest thing to talk about when it comes to respect, because,
But hey. So on that,
it's a contrast.
You know what? Actually, I'm going to read the definition of respect. So the dictionary has respect as a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. So admiration for someone's abilities, qualities, or achievements you have respect for. That's one definition. There's a lot of, it seems to revolve, all the definitions revolve around abilities, qualities, or achievements. So
yeah, I think qualities is the important one right there.
I think so too.
And I'm going to say something that might not be popular with a lot of hip hop heads or people that like hip hop, but self-respect is also an important part of respect, respecting yourself.
Absolutely.
And I love hip hop more than anybody, and I've been listening to it my whole life. But I just think that we're at a point now in the world or in society where there's a lot of eyes on hip hop and a lot of eyes, even outside of hip hop, on the things you do. Mm-hmm. And if you don't show yourself respect, how can you expect others to? And my point in hip hop is, if you go around talking about being a thug, a gangbanger, dropping the N-word, yanking people's chains, how you have relationships with women, and that's how you portray yourself, and that's how you idolize yourself, what kind of respect is that for yourself? And if you can't have the respect for yourself, how are other people going to show you this respect that you want if you can't even show it to yourself?
Nice. Well said.
Absolutely well said. So let me ask you this, just turning this around a little bit to yourself. What are the things that you do in order to set a good example for others in terms of respect, either being respectful or doing the things to try to earn somebody's respect? What comes to your mind as far as your own behaviors, or maybe in ways that you've changed in order to foster that kind of bond with somebody?
I think there's one word that, without fail, leads to respect. Leads to respect for yourself. Others people will respect you, and that is integrity. Integrity. A person of integrity. How can you not respect somebody who is a person of integrity? And integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking.
Right.
You're not busting open your Instagram and going live and showing yourself, feeding a homeless person a sandwich. That's not integrity. That you're doing it for the gram. You're doing it for the accolade. Oh, you're so nice. And how often do we see that? It's really, you see these on Instagram. There's people that with all these riots. There's literally video of people. There's actual humans that are trying to board up their shops, and there's a video of this girl who walks up and is like, excuse me, I know you're boarding up. Could I just get a picture of me boarding up your wall? And the guy's like, what? I guess you're kind of cute. Yeah, sure. Take the drill. So her friend takes a picture of her and then I'm sure, and then they get in their car and leave. And I'm sure the script to that post was, so thrilled about helping out my community and helping
right.
the local businesses protect. Sure. Yeah. You're really doing a good job there. So integrity is that. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking. And what integrity is a pillar of which you can have self-respect and others will respect you. Because by definition, you're not doing wrong. You're not intentionally hurting people. You're not doing things that are unethical, right? You are an ethical person of integrity that commands respect. Because, quite frankly, that's rare.
Right. Another thing that I think commands respect is sureness in yourself and ability and kind of being on your mission. Because even if there's somebody you don't like or don't like something about them, if they commit to whatever it is they're doing at 100% with all their heart, sometimes you just got to sit back and just be like, respect, man, respect.
Right.
Like, even if you look at the president of the United States, I'm going to go all the way there. Like, no matter what side you sit on, like, I don't know how you could win a campaign after saying the things you said and be on top. And like, whatever side you on, you gotta, like, that's daps, that's respect. Like, however you did that, like, you know something that I don't know. Respect.
Okay, so here's a good question. Okay, so how do we respect whatever it is, whoever it is, that boils our blood? How do you respect others' beliefs that are so diabolically opposed to yours? How do we respect other people that we completely disagree with?
Just by acknowledging the fact that they're there to test you. You have beliefs, they have beliefs. Obviously, you believe in something so strongly that whatever this person's doing makes you want to jet lee them in the face. So it's showing you, it's bringing awareness to you that I care about whatever it is that this person is not doing. And respect to you for being true to you, right? And like, you can respect your opponents. You can respect a person in a fight. You could respect your worst enemy because they challenge you and they make you better.
They make you grow.
But doesn't mean you always have to like them. I
think you can have respect for someone and not like them.
Yeah.
I have a number of people in my life where, like, I respect you, but I vehemently dislike you.
Yeah.
Like, you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anybody, like, I feel, who's mastered a craft, like, you could watch the best sushi maker in the world, or like a person who throws darts amazing, you'd be just mesmerized. I'm like, man, mad respect. You go watch a person drink a beer in like 2 seconds, like, respect.
Respect. David, how do you respect the unrespectable, if that's a word?
That's a really good question. And I'm going to bring it to music again. Because there are artists that I will disagree with politically, or disagree with on whatever message or whatever they are singing or rapping or whatever about. And I'll still deeply respect their talent and deeply respect their ability to create. And respect that about them, even though I may disagree with the message. Now, I'm a pretty even keel kind of person as far as, I'll frame it this way. I will respect anybody that will disagree with me, even if it's on 100% of the things that I am passionate about, as long as it's civil.
Right.
When it's civil, you have every ounce of my respect.
And you can be respectful as soon as you disagree in a respectful way.
Absolutely.
I respectfully
as soon as you start
disagree.
Throwing out, this person is Hitler or whatever else, like I've tuned you out completely. So there's there's a way to go about it that's a respectful way. And really, I think that kind of dialogue is, is leaving us, because I think everything is just more extreme right now. And because of that, it's very difficult to find people that I will disagree with and respect at the same time, because there's just fewer and far between. And in a lot of cases, people are like, well, you don't think this way. Your ideas, what you believe, your principles are completely and totally invalid, and you're a monster.
Something you just said there
go ahead.
Just clicked in my head. Make something really clear to me. The only way to get respect is through actions. Like, you could talk about stuff and say, I'm going to do this. I'm like make up all these elaborate stories. But until you do an action, you cannot earn respect. You have to have made some change, influenced somebody's life.
Chase your passion.
Yes. Like, you have to have taken an action in order to earn respect.
Cool. True.
That's really interesting. Yeah, there's something about it's kind of like keeping to your word. I mean, that comes back to integrity, right? If you even if you say you're going to do something, and it's like a ridiculous thing, or I may think you're a moron for wanting to jump off of your house and into your in-ground pool, and you'll do it. I'm like, well, look, I mean, I respect your unearned confidence. You're still an idiot for trying to do something like jump off your house. But, there's all sorts of gray areas to this, really. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the other part that's just became very clear to me was, I kept going back to, like, when you're in an argument, like, how can you respect the other person? Like you're clearly you're in battle. You've locked horns on something. And the key thing there is that you think you're right, and the other person thinks they're right. And in their reality, they are right. Just like in your reality, you are right. Because if you didn't think you were right, you would not be standing up and arguing. So the fact,
right.
the fact that you think you're right and they think they're right, you got to respect it. Like, hey, man, that's I don't live your life. Your reality is your reality. And I can respect that, as if that respect can be mutually shown from the point that I'm trying to make. And together, through an exchange of ideas, we become better and gain perspective and grow. That's what a powerful conversation is. And that's where you leave the encounter not deflated, but enlightened.
Do you think there's a hidden subliminal code to respect?
How so?
I feel like there's a code that you follow in order to show somebody respect, because when you're being shown respect and when you're respecting somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So, not raising your voice, or there's certain subtle things that guy did that with honor. That guy did that. It makes you respect a person, or their ability to fully put their whole selves into something. I feel if you broke it down, there's some type of code as humans that we call respect, or else how would you know if somebody is respecting
or
you?
Disrespecting you?
Right.
So that's really interesting, because how can you put that into words? That's part of the human. It's an experience.
Yes. Like if somebody came up to you and said, "Oh man, you look ugly," right? But in his world, ugly was way better than nasty or something like that. Sure. That was just his thing. But insulting somebody is disrespectful in our culture.
Of course.
Maybe if you're Russian, it's different, because I sound like they're always
that's
insulting
how they
people.
out.
But I don't know. Is there codes? Is there codes to this? And does it differ in culture? Because the Japanese,
oh man,
and
respect, dude. That's
all of the mannerisms they have.
I love the Japanese culture for that, man. They're so about respect, but to a point where you're almost scared to do anything. You're like, I didn't know this. First time I went to Japan, I was eating rice with chopsticks, and I put my chopsticks in the rice. I just jammed them in there and started eating some other things. It was like, whoa, stop everything. You just put chopsticks in your rice and left them, the sticks sticking out of your rice. You know how disrespectful that is? I'm like, whoa.
Oh,
I didn't know. Sorry. Like, I'll take them out. Boom. Well, it actually like signifies like the grave. It's disrespecting the dead. Like in their culture, they have sticks sticking out of the ground to mark graves. So like, dude, what are you doing with your rice and your chopsticks, you gaijin foreigner? And so like, but those are the things. Like it varies so wildly between cultures, but that's what I really admire about the Japanese culture is how respect is ingrained in that culture.
And I guess culture has a lot to do with it because a friend of mine was a flight attendant and telling me stories about all the trips. And one that stood out to me the most was there was a African lady who came on to the plane and everything was about to get going and everybody was putting their luggage up above the seats. And just before the flight starts, she was carrying a baby onto the plane. She went and put her baby into the bucket with all the luggage and then left him up there and then sat down.
Like she put her baby in the overhead
luggage bin.
Okay.
What?
And everybody was literally up
losing
in
their mind.
arms, like up in arms. And she was there with a friend who could translate what she was saying into English.
Yeah.
So the flight attendant comes up and takes the baby and like looks at this poor baby and gives it to the woman. Like, you can't put your child up there. And she wanted to instantly put the kid back up on top. And so the translator spoke and then clarified it and like was talking to the lady, and then the lady like shook her head and then held the baby the proper way. And then talks to the flight attendant and she's like, in her village, when you're traveling on the bus, the safest place for a baby is up above in the area where everything's above there.
Fascinating.
So her reality, that's how you keep a baby safe.
Right.
You put it up above your head, like when you're in transport. And for everybody else on the plane, she's going to kill her baby. Yeah.
I mean, I would never think to stuff my son in the glove compartment of the car, when he was a kid. Like, oh, he's safer there. It's fine.
Talk
like,
about it.
That's a cultural shift,
Right,
isn't it?
right.
Yeah.
Right. Crazy. So
I had a student that did a lot of sales he was a sales guy and he was in Japan a lot. And he used to talk about how there was, a certain way to actually hold your business card that was more respectful. And things about, just about the bows and just in terms of business, there were so many rules that he had to know just to make sure he's not offending anybody. And, that they would be able to get along. It is kind of mind blowing that there is definitely like a huge cultural component to that. I want to ask you real quick though, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it was something that popped into my head in terms of sports and, in terms of being competitive, and how there's sometimes an urge to trash talk. And so is that a sign of respect of somebody else's skill and, that you're going to try to match it? Or is that at 100% a sign of disrespect? What do you think?
That's a tough one. I feel like that, like, trash talk, the fact that you're even trash talking someone means that they've made you insecure about your ability to beat them, right? Like, because if you have and these tactics, you start playing with people's minds and stuff. I can see where the question is posed, because technically, if you have to trash talk them, you're concerned about their ability to defeat you. But at the same time, how can you respectfully trash talk someone? I don't think that's a thing.
There's people who do it great. Conor McGregor, Mike Tyson.
Dude, but like you're disrespecting them like they're have you listened to UFC trash talk?
Yeah, but like
not respectful, dude.
But it's in the fight game, you're getting a person to emotionally react. And if you could stay centered while trash talking, Floyd Mayweather, like tennis has trash talkers, man. Like there's so many. Soccer has trash talkers.
Of course. But is that respectful?
Is it respectful?
Is trash talk respectful? That's what we're chewing on right now.
I think it's disrespectful. And yeah, you're right. It's using the other energy to be like, this guy's disrespecting me and it's taking me out of my element.
Right. So like maybe if you can see that, because the best way, and we've just seen this in just social media and all that, is the best tactic, the best defensive tactic is to not give them anything to swing at. Don't react.
Right.
You know, because that's what they want. They want to knock you off your game. They want to get under your skin. They want you to start freaking out. And if you're water off a duck's back, you're sending that energy right back, return to sender.
Mm-hmm. But was Michael Jordan respectful to his opponents?
See, that's the thing. He was a big trash talker.
Yeah.
Right. He was a big time trash talker. Now I'll say this. I'm always a little more leery of the guy who is silent and does it and doesn't say anything. Kyle, you're a big time basketball fan, right?
I've not overly, like I couldn't tell you all the, I've watched some basketball though.
Okay. I thought I remembered at some point that you were talking about basketball. And so there was a game last year, and it was Portland Trailblazers, and the player's name's Damian Lillard. And it was time's running out. They're behind, and he drained like a 45-foot 3-point shot. And there's this picture that just kind of became a meme as he's getting kind of carried off the court by his teammates. And his face is just stone cold, just of course I did that. Not a word coming out, not a gesture coming out, nothing, no celebrating, no anything else. That's the kind of guy that I respect. And playing somebody like that, I would be afraid of just what they are capable of. The person who's sitting there yammering and just constantly, it's all talk and talk and talk and talk. To me, that's really irritating. I lose respect for people that are just flamboyant trash talkers. I don't like, I don't like the way Conor McGregor had done that a lot in his career. Because it's, to me, I'm just like, if you're doing all that, that's just all the show stuff. Just show me what you're doing.
Yeah.
Show me, have that, and again, this kind of goes back to something you mentioned before, where it's like, it's about the actions more than it is about the words.
Truth.
And it's just like that. It's like, show me that you're that winner. And I will, and even if I don't like you, I'll have all that respect for you. But if you're just sitting there barking about it constantly, like, what are you trying to hide? And what is your insecurity? So that's kind of what comes in my mind.
It's so true. And then some people make you question your respect or whether you like them or not. And like, I am so confused about this topic to this day. R. Kelly. Now,
oh boy.
Before finding out about R. Kelly's like past and what he does with peeing on people,
okay.
I loved R. Kelly's music, man. Yeah. Like he made some hits, like Space Jam, like I Believe I Can Fly. Like, oh man,
of course,
I respected the hell out of that guy's music, and I think it shows you can show respect for people in particular areas and not respect them in other areas. But then somebody goes and like completely on the other side of the coin has no respect for any of the good characteristics. Like, can you then respect that person's body of work up to that point? Another one is he played the President of the United States on Netflix and then was caught touching Kevin Spacey. Like, I loved that show. I loved it. Like, his acting was great up until that point, and then like did something super serious. Do you still respect that guy's body of work? Or can you show respect to that?
That's a tough one, man.
This is such a rabbit hole. This is a huge rabbit hole.
It's like part of you wants to void it. Part of me was like, fuck that guy. You know, like part of you, but it doesn't take away from the art. Like, and Dude, that is a tough one.
Epstein, guy made a lot of money.
Look,
Do you?
I'm gonna touch on this.
Like, before that, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but I don't know if I've ever had.
That's what I mean. It's like, so, like, I'm just pointing up points. Like, you scratch like everything up to that guy's point that was above ground. Like, is it null and void?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Does it invalidate everything?
I'm just pointing out examples. I have I'm not saying I respect Epstein.
I think it's pretty tough too.
Yeah, don't do that. There is. I mean, in the States right now, there is a lot going on in terms of historical figures.
Yeah, right.
And what those historical figures have done, even bringing it to people arguing about blowing up part of Mount Rushmore.
Right.
And just removing the faces. Do you invalidate somebody like Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, because he was a slave owner in that time? And these are huge. They're huge questions about somebody's artistic legacy and how time changes and things change from it. And, even to put this in terms of me as a writer, one of my favorite authors is H.P. Lovecraft. And H.P. Lovecraft, it was known. I mean, the guy lived in 1800s, early 1900s, and by all accounts was a racist man.
Sure. And
so does that make his writing less, or should we scrub it from the history books because of something he did or said? We're never going to come up with an answer in this question.
But you know what? But straight up, since when is it fair game to apply a new set of rules to a time where those rules didn't apply? Like we're applying today's standard of morality and where we are, how we've all grown as a society. We are applying today's standards and going back 200 years and saying, how dare they? Well, guess what? We didn't live back then. We didn't have our kids die of polio and all kinds of crazy stuff that we have no reality on. So how is it that we can apply today's standard of reality to a reality which does not exist and did not exist and we have no reality with? So I don't think it's fair that we judge people by today's standards from 200 standards that were 200 years ago.
The world's population lived and died through 3 generations since that happened. We're on our 3rd or 4th set of a completely different world population from the time where some of those people have lived. And so you're absolutely right in that everything has shifted. It's not like back in the 1700s, people were Instagram influencers,
Who are we?
Like screwing boards into a building, being like, look at all the good that I'm doing right now. Just to kind of bring that full circle. So here's a really, really difficult question I have for you, which is in terms of respect. How can we come up with a Budo Brothers challenge for our dear listeners?
Ooh. All right. Next, here's the Budo Brothers challenge. Next time you find yourself locking horns with anyone, it could be anyone. The next time where you're like, whoa, I'm in it. And I got a nickel in this dime. I'm ready to go toe to toe. Try to understand that the reality that's on the other side of your argument is their reality, and try to see how you can respect their point of view and ask yourself, what can I learn from this person?
It's a great challenge.
Really good. Validate the other point of view, state yours, and learn from it. Absolutely right.
Even if that's learning what not to be like, or wow, like there's still a lesson there, if there's no, because here's what won't happen. Neither of you are going to convert one or the other. That just doesn't, especially when it's a heated argument, that means you both care deeply about it. And 20 minutes of back and forth you're not going to convert somebody's life story that their reality. You're not going to unearth their foundation and give them the blessing of your point of view. Like, it's an opportunity to learn something. And that's the challenge.
You sure aren't going to do that on like a Facebook comment, right?
No.
Like this, you're not going to change anybody's mind right now.
Oh man.
And there is something to be said for that. Having friends outside of your point of view, because really there is no opposing point of view inside of an echo chamber. Oh. And so there's no opportunity to respect somebody else's point of view. Go ahead.
For sure.
Let's wrap this one up. Yep.
I was just saying, it's like, oh man, Cheeto's 6'2", that insult you made about my punching technique really changed my point of view on
Thank you. Yes. Oh, dude, and how often do we get that? Where we get these, like, there's people that will write a novel, and like you're like, cool story, bro.
Yeah.
How do you even reply to those? I don't know how you guys do it. I need some lessons
With
to those, man.
Because eggplant and a splashy.
That is
to go there again. There it is. All right, guys. Thank you so much for this very entertaining episode. And where can people find us? Tell them where they can find us on all the things.
You can find us on any of the internet things. You could send us an email, info@budobrothers.com. Ask us any questions that you'd want to hear on the podcast.
Definitely.
Or search us on the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTubular.
Oh, the goodness.
All the stuff.
Definitely.
For podcast listeners, the fastest, easiest way to contact us in regards to this show is by firing off an email, correct?
You got
That's it. info@budobrothers.com. We would love to hear from you. And you know what? If you've actually gotten something out of this podcast, let us know. There's nothing that makes our day brighter than knowing that the discussions that we've had have actually helped people.
And
absolutely.
A side note. We've been working really hard on our store.
Yes.
And we are finally bringing it to light of day. So if you haven't yet, check it out. See what we've got in there. If it's not up, it's coming soon.
It's real soon.
It's got amazing things, new innovations of our company.
We're swinging hard.
We really want to share them with everybody.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Good stuff on the horizon. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, so much as always.
All right, David.
And
I respect you.
Yes.
I respect you too, David. Eric, man. Eric, I respect you like the color taupe.
I respect you, Kyle. I respect you.
There was kind of a lingering pause there.
I respect Eric like the color taupe, I said.
I just didn't hear it. Epic.
Awesome. I respect you guys as well as all of our listeners that are sticking with us through all this insanity. Thank you all. And I will catch you guys on the next episode.
Much respect.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Bye.